I believe you. You do? Yes, I believe that you believe you helped write that joke. That's how people like you work. Your ego is so out of whack that it will do whatever it can to protect itself. And people with a messed up ego can do these mental gymnastics to convince themselves they're awesome when really they're just douchebags.
I have reason to believe that the Answers of NWO will not be continuing on to the third season. Perhaps it's because he's losing faith with the evidence I and others have given him. Perhaps it's because he's been through enough torment with his constantly disproven claims, theories, opinions, and beliefs. Or perhaps it's because he cannot fight a battle of proof when he has no access to any. I say these things without his newest film out for viewing. Perhaps a little prophecy will humor you all. My little prediction is fairly obvious to everyone but the person committing these acts I'm about to tell you about. I wouldn't be surprised if there's another quote from Kent Hovind, another link from a creationist site, another misconception and myth derived solely against science and atheism to bring more faith to people that feel like they are being attacked by these perfectly evident facts. They don't seem to understand that science is nature, and nature is science. It is not something conjured up by man like the Gospels and many theistic points of view and beliefs. Science is nature. Granted, science is also man's way of describing what happens in nature, which is why not every bit of science is law yet, and not everything is completely known yet. It's because man is attempting to figure it out. So we've come up with the most reasonable explanation behind these natural occurrences for many reasons, be it to save lives, or to further humanity and its technological advances, to repopulate destroyed ecosystems, or merely to save the planet we have seemed to have destroyed. Science is not an evil thing. It is not a lie or a deception. In the wrong hands it could be used for destruction and greed, true, but one of the only things stopping us as a species in growth for the better is religion. With books telling us to rape children, sacrifice the virgins, kill the non-believers, beat women, and keep slaves. With books telling us that talking snakes are out to get us, and that people can live in giant fish with no oxygen under the pressures of the deep sea. With books convincing people that zombies are gods, and that death is to be prayed for instead of life, so as to be with the zombie gods. With books telling us that global death, the rapture, Armageddon is the best possible thing to hope for. How could any theist believe that the knowledge and the logic is the evil way? It's perfectly clear as to why, actually. 93% of scientists do not believe in gods. They are also our top minds of the world. From the book, 50 Reasons People Give for Believing in a God. According to sociologist Phil Zuckerman, between 500 million and 750 million people currently have no belief in any gods. This is a huge number. It is even more impressive than it appears at first glance, because Zuckerman only included what he calls organic atheism in his calculations. Organic atheists, he says, are true non-believers who are living in a relatively free society and able to believe or not believe without fear of severe punishment from an oppressive government. So who are these 500 to 750 million infidels without a god in their lives? Are they the misfits and maniacs of the world? These are people who fill the world's prisons because of their lack of morals. It doesn't seem so. Zuckerman's research shows that these non-believers mostly come from the safest, healthiest, most educated, most charitable, most technological advanced, and most crime-free nations on Earth. Countries in high percentages of non-believers include global bright spots such as Sweden, Denmark, Norway, Japan, my home country Canada, and France. These people are not the world's idiots. If a god was obviously real, it's likely they would be bright enough to recognize it and honest enough to admit it. A more specific group of people worth considering are scientists. Why do so many scientists fail to see these obvious gods whom believers keep talking about? Despite the fact that the United States is a highly religious society, almost all elite American scientists are non-believers. A full 93% of them indicated that no god is obvious to them. But how can this be? The ability of modern scientists to detect and observe objects and phenomena both far and near is astonishing. Scientists are able to study viruses, molecules, atoms, even parts of atoms. Scientists are able to see far beyond our solar system and our galaxy. They can even see back in time with deep space imaging. But despite all these abilities, no one has ever had any success at discovering so much as the slightest trace of a god. After all this searching, listening, and looking, we still have nothing but weak arguments and unreliable eyewitness accounts to support the evidence of a god. We can safely assume these are very smart people. That's why they ended up being elite scientists. If an obviously real god created the universe, the earth, and all of the life on it, wouldn't you think that the smartest professionals who have dedicated their lives to exploring, discovering, experimenting, and thinking about life and the universe would be the first to detect a god? How can it be that so many of the brightest people on earth have not yet come across compelling reason to believe in a god? At the very least, it means that the existence of a god is far from obvious. I find it very interesting how nearly all the religious extremists have monstrously large egos, portraying themselves as doctors, having PhDs, or even being a prophet themselves. Because of this ego and intensely closed mind, they are able to bypass any information that is completely logical, probable, and or evident. and replace that with a belief of talking snakes, magical water, and zombie gods and prophets. You, the Answers of NWO, are one of these religious extremists. If you haven't already admitted that you have lost even one argument, then you are a closed-minded, extremely stubborn, brainwashed, manipulated fool. Your ego's size only surpasses your intense ignorance on matters such as atheism and science. You have some of the most biased, obscure, and hateful views of anyone that I have ever met, and if you don't do anything about it soon, you will have an absolutely horrible life. Why is this? Because the minds of the world are changing. People are discovering that fairy tales in the Bible, Quran, and Torah are simply that, fairy tales. People are slowly becoming more rational in the ways that they're thinking and taking a giant step into science. Something that can be proven, something that can be used for much good, something that can keep us and everything else on this planet alive, something worth reading, something worth using, and something worth living for, not dying for.
I totally get it now. Now I realize it's just that your ego has made you believe things happen differently. That's what Kyle was trying to tell me. That you have such a huge ego you do these mental gymnastics to make yourself a part of things.